Yes, good.
So first of all, thank you for joining. Let me start by introducing myself and talking about the purpose of this session. Uh, I currently run the Asia Pacific channels and alliances, and uh, I spent over 2 years with Oracle running channels and alliances in the mysql group. And prior to this, I have been running businesses at APAC level with organizations such as Cisco and HP, and briefly ran a consulting firm also. Uh, I'm trying to use my experience to kind of share as I interact with partners, as I see what's going on in the industry. I thought some of these experiences I've had, concepts of enterprise selling I've used, could be of value to our partners. Why I'm doing it, first, of course, most important is that I see that by applying some of these concepts and ideas, uh, our partners can leverage the portfolio we offer much better, not only MySQL, but others also. And at the same time, uh, we could engage and do more discussions around MySQL specifically, wherein I sit. And last but not the least, this is a topic which is close to my heart. I believe that whether it is the technology vendors or the channel partners of any size, a lot of these concepts you may be using, but even if you, at the end of the session, you gain one or two new ideas or concepts that you can apply, then I think that will be, a win-win for all. So before I dwell into the topic itself, I thought it may be useful to share the context and my thoughts over the context. So what you see on the left-hand side is a research report um, by Accenture for World Economic Forum. And it says a very pertinent and interesting thing that now the time has come that a lot of the new innovative technologies are maturing where the deployments leverage is widespread and businesses are seeing the benefit of these new technologies. What it means is also that the interplay of these technologies play a very critical role, right? If you see IoT and smart machines, as the data are being collected, without that data collection, AI won't be as impactful as it would be. In similar case, machine learning, which also requires robust data and analytics platform, etc. Now, as the technology is maturing, it is also implying that end customers and businesses see value in it. So CXOs are not asking whether we should deploy technology. That discussion has already entered the boardroom and the C-level executives. But what they're asking is these questions. Are our technology alignment investments aligned with the opportunities we have in the market? Are we able to compete better using these technologies? Is our digital transformation working well on the basis of the technology? And on top of it, does it improve our own performance? Is it making our business secure? And last but not the least, who's accountable for these technologies? Right? In my view, uh, everybody is accountable for technology today. And as we will talk later, businesses are structured in such a way that business owners are carrying more budgets for technology than the IT people. Right? Now, with that background, the way I look at it, or rather the way I like to summarize this, there are three key stakeholders in this transformation. The enterprises or the end customers, I'm calling enterprises because today we are talking in context of the larger enterprises and how do we sell differently to them. Then, of course, the technology vendors, and last but not least, our channel partners, integrators, whatever we may call. Now, if you look at the enterprises, definitely the technology investments are increasing leaps and bounds, right? And as I said, the technology investments are no more the domain of IT, but it is more of the domain of business owners. And IT is providing the base infrastructure to be able to apply technology which is relevant for the business. But the more complex aspect is that to succeed, they need to have a collaborative interdisciplinary working. What I mean is that different functions, whether it is CFO or different business units, uh, whether it is the security officer, whether it is the marketing and sales, all those guys need to work together because a set of technology or applications you deploy, it has implications for multiple functions. And hence it is not that one function or one discipline in isolation can leverage the technology. Right? Now, in most cases, I would say that they're not being the best in achieving this interdisciplinary working. In fact, whatever I'm showing in the slide, I've written a paper for a Singapore analyst firm that how enterprises can do better, what vendors can do, and what integrators can do. From a vendor perspective, and I could be wrong, but this is more my summing up of all what I'm seeing and reading. The pace at which the technology innovation is happening and becoming mainstream, maturing, their go-to-market is not transforming at the same pace, which means one, they are not able to leverage growth, leveraging these innovative technologies, and they're not able to reach to the customers who could benefit from it. While on the go-to-market side, there's a challenge that the whole concept of being able to translate technology benefit into the business impact, that whole approach, understanding, uh, and transformation to this area so that every time we go to sell, we are able to relate it to the business value is not happening. Now, looking at multiple technologies working together, looking at the aspect of interdisciplinary collaboration, looking at the pace of development, the change of go-to-market transformation, etc. I believe for channel partners like you all, it provides tremendous opportunity because you could play a key role in making this happen, right? Uh, but for channel partners to leverage this transformation or opportunity, you yourself need to sell a little differently. You need to look at your selling approach and your go-to-market. Now, with these two, and if you look at little more details, how does it all come together, right? At the base, you have technology vendors. Technology vendors come up with their own value proposition or competitive advantage, what they offer, and so on and so forth. But to be able to scale and go to the end customers, be it small, medium, and large enterprises, the host of channels that play a very critical role. Of course, today we are focusing more on the right-hand side. But as I'm saying, that for channel partners to be able to leverage, they themselves, especially when selling to mid and large enterprises, they need to be able to look at new business models, new way of selling, be it cloud-based, as a service, if everything is going as a service. Connect to the business needs and the problem we are trying to solve. It all comes together, right? And the best way channel partners can achieve it is by simplifying the complexity customers has or the vendors have and simplify it for end customers as well as for the vendors. So if you can bring in customers and vendors together by simplifying for them, then I think a channel partner as a whole can grow and make more money. Now keep that in mind. Keeping that in mind, if I look at from channel partners' perspective, if you need to make an impact and you believe that that's the right thing to do, these are the things I thought which needs to change or to be enhanced. Right. Of course, in another 35, 40 minutes, we may not get chance to cover everything in equal details, but a lot of these concepts I will be touching upon. Um, First of all, I strongly believe that channel partners can't be selling products. They have to look at offers. Offers could be system solutions or service-led models, right? And we will touch upon how offer is different than a product per se. Then, of course, not every customer will be needing every offer. Then how, or a offer-based approach may not be relevant for every customer, even though that's the way you want to sell it. So how do you look at it? Different set of customers, how do you leverage your existing account, so on and so forth, and what coverage model you want to have based on the size of the customer and profile. I also believe that marketing plays a very critical role going forward, especially in the digital world, both from branding and demand generation perspective. So some of those aspects I will touch upon, and no strategy will work unless the operations are streamlined. So in a services-led, solution-led, sales approach, unless the operations in terms of skills, lead to cash management, and PNL is done efficiently, you won't reap the benefits of the previous four pillars. Now, talking about offers, at a higher level, and this is something I have been talking all through over the last 10 years, wherever I've worked, that the bare minimum partner should be looking at is an offer, not products, wherein I see the offer creation at 5 layers. First, of course, is the technology which you get from a vendor and vendor partner. So you look at the feature functionality, and of course, each major feature functionality will have an impact on customer business and be able to articulate it. And you also be able to see whether it's relevant or how is it. There is a sweet spot. Later on, we'll talk about. And then, of course, beyond the technology itself, that particular vendor has its own value proposition. For example, when you sell Oracle's MySQL, the fact that Oracle has direct support itself plays a very critical role. The roadmaps we do on MySQL has its impact, and the references we may be able to provide you. So this is the base level, which of course a lot of you will be using anyway, or even the higher level. But then of course the top three ones are the one where the partners really play a role in one, creating more value for their customers, but also to be able to differentiate from other partners offering the same technology and solution. For example, a partner solution, what could this solution mean? It could either mean a multi-vendor technologies which complement to provide an end solution, as well as some of the partner tools you may have developed. And the more of such elements you add, the more you can differentiate, more you can improve the size of the deal. Then the next layer comes is your own services and experience. What is your expertise level? How many customers you have served? What service offering you can do from discovery to deployment to migration to managed services? We'll talk a little more about this. And if you combine the four pillars, I guess when you share TCO or ROI approach to the customers, it will not be purely a vendor value proposition. It will be a vendor plus partner value proposition. And if applied well, I believe you can not only increase the size of the deal, you can not only increase the margin of the deal, but you can also differentiate better with your competing partners. Now, I'm taking this a little more in details, and the reason I'm going to this level because not every customer you can use the same approach depending upon size, situation, and so on and so forth. But the 3S model, as I call, is system, solutions, and services led. Right? It may depend on customer scenario. It may depend on the size of the customer that you use a systems approach. Systems approach could be purely a product and management tool which you have, or your experience, expertise, etc. Solutions could be either a horizontal solution, industry solution, applying your multi-vendor or your own tools, etc. you develop. And then services, most favorite of mine is everything is service led. So why not convert every offering into a managed services offering? And that is why I would also recommend a lot of cases I have advised and I have suggested that if you have a product management function, there may be value in converting that into offer management role. So you have a Oracle product managers looking after Oracle business, but then can it be converted into Oracle offer manager, MySQL offer manager? That means that person not only looks after how much Oracle MySQL licenses we are selling, but that person is also looking into what services we are growing on top of it, and so on and so forth. Looking at the right hand side, of course, you have the run rate deals, which is a systems approach. The more you go up, lesser the number of customers you will be serving through that. But of course, as you go up, the margins of the deal will be good. If you go down, the margin should be less. Lead to close time will be higher in complex deals. And it is a combination of individual effort versus team effort. The more you go up the value chain, the more you offer services and solutions, it is a greater team effort. And when I say team effort, it is not only within your partner organization, but it is also with the vendor team, right? Uh, and one of my favorite point which I try to make is the more you go from technology product to value added solution to services value, the partner deal size and the margin will go up. And this is particularly and I can say a lot more in this context, in my current role context, from my SQL perspective. Look at it, red box is MySQL. By adding solutions through tools and other products and offering your services, be it managed services, you can increase the size of the deal 2 to 3 times. But more importantly, this should be able to help you create more margin out of it, especially for a product like MySQL or a lot of the software products. The price is much lower as compared to the value it generates. And hence, more services you can build around it, the greater impact you can have to the business, and more the top line and the bottom line. Now, and I don't want to spend too much time, but generally I've seen we say a lot about value selling, right? And we need to demonstrate the value to the customer. We need to, you know, touch upon their key pain points, etc. But I generally feel it will be useful if there is a structure in articulating value also. And when you work with your internal teams or with the vendor teams in identifying how do we articulate that value, you may be working with Oracle or other vendors or a combination. I feel that if there is other 4 pillars you can address, and even when talking to customer or internal brainstorming, developing ROI, TCO models, if you can touch upon these 4 aspects. One is how is your offer going to help customer grow or improving their financials, maybe saving costs, securing the business, helping them go faster to the customer? How does it change the customer experience if it is a customer facing application? And three, how does it help employees? Does it help make employees more productive? Does it give them more means and tools to satisfy customers? What impact does it have on their skills and performance? And last but not the least, how does your customers' operational excellence play a role in this? Right. And if I, I, and I think it's not about one offer, whether it is MySQL or Oracle, it is about general approach to doing business or approach to selling, and say every time I'll go to customer, I will articulate my value and differentiation on these four pillars. How do you impact these four areas better than others? Right. And of course, I don't want to touch upon MySQL so much, but I think this is a great example. Looking at MySQL, earlier it was only a single license, but now, as you see, it is an on-premises deployment, it is a cloud-based deployment with HeatWave. A lot of you must have heard about the analytics engine in the cloud. The portfolio has evolved so much that it can address more customer needs. It provides you more opportunity to sell. And most importantly, it gives you more opportunities to provide services on top of this portfolio. And again, I'm trying to, sorry. So again, just elaborating using MySQL, because that's something that comes to my mind right away, and I thought examples are better. So if you look at a MySQL kind of product, which half the time is thought about downloading free, but now enterprise license also is very low value. A lot of the partners initially thought it's not a business you want to focus, but now realizing that there's a host of services can be built on it. One, because consulting and discovery service is one uh, very interesting area that is evolving, and that is more because a lot of the community versions, when changed to enterprise version, have a great advantage. And a lot of our partners are doing consulting and discovery service. We have been saying present mode of operation using community in some of the third-party cloud or on-premises is a present mode of operation. Now, how does it change in the future mode of operation, PMO versus FMO, if you deploy the licensed version on Oracle Cloud? And as you succeed with the deployment and most importantly, migration services that happens on top of it. But what is more exciting for me, rather most exciting for me, is how do you create managed services model out of MySQL kind of simple product itself? So you have ongoing, there are regular services that will be required for customer. Data is not a constant need. So you need ongoing fine tuning, you need change management. Customer needs analytics so that they can focus on their business, not on database management. Quarterly business reviews later on also I'll talk is a very important thing. And convert all of the licenses into a monthly payment, be it on cloud consumption based and so on. Now imagine if you offer this and similar offerings on a monthly single invoicing to your customers, have a 3-year contract. It is very powerful for customers to be able to leverage it from the point of view of they being able to link what they pay on an every month basis to their business benefit. Two, for you, it is creating a stickiness with the customer for a longer period of time. And three, you have visibility of the customer's business so that you can upsell cross-sell. And that is the reason in a world where everything is being sold as a service, I'm a big fan of managed services and as a service offering as a way to sell, especially to the larger customers. Um, of course, then this needs a practice building, which is which you need to build every aspect of the practice, from consulting, which I talked about, qualification of the person and pursuit plays a very important role. I really believe qualification of the right prospect is important because if we overdo it, then a lot of the sales effort can go waste because it is a long-term expensive pursuit when you sell managed services. Closing and contracting requires uh, very, very cross-functional effort within your organization, from finance to legal to product to delivery teams. They need to get involved into cost optimization. Um, Finance and legal needs to see risk, etc. So you need a very strong process on it. Then, of course, most contracts go good or bad based on the transition. Because when we close a contract, we sell expectations with the customer. And if transition between sales and delivery does not happen smoothly, that is the biggest risk factor. In our product days, we will say timely delivery of the product was most important. Here in a services-led model, I believe the transition management is the biggest factor in making contract successful and so forth. Then, of course, O&M and QBR. QBR, according to me, quarterly business reviews play a very important role because that makes sure that the contracts are on track. You need to you get more insight of the customer situation, how their needs are changing, how you need to adapt to their changing needs, how do you need to provide feedback, dashboards, and most importantly, what you can do to cross-sell upsell. This is a little more details, deep dive into it. I don't think we will have time, but the core point is that you need to select where you are selling a services-led model, and it needs a well-defined processes from lead to cash to be able to make sure that you are selling the right contract, right value, and making money on it. So as I said, not every sale can become the new way of selling. The shop has to keep running in a traditional way also. And that is why I believe there will be a layered approach when you approach your customers. There has to be a run rate business which sells as a product. Then you will have a more mid-sized customer where you sell like systems, solutions, and then for larger strategic customers, you sell based on services as a service or uh, you know service managed services led sales pursuit. On the right hand side, what I'm also trying to show is that uh, any business should earn its basic bread and butter based on weekly run rate, monthly, mid to large size deals, right? The cash flow and the organization's health should justify uh, regular business selling a solution systems and run rate. Large deals will happen once a quarter, and there should be the upside for the business or the exponential growth of the business. Now, this is another concept uh, we have used in our previous organizations. We used to call it RAD model: retain, acquire, develop. Sometimes the sales teams can be divided in this fashion, or every time you discuss with your sales teams or account managers, they could have account in these three categories. And if you see the right hand side, what we are saying is that you need to look at accounts from size of wallet and share of wallet perspective. Definitely, if you have some customers who have high size of wallet, that means they're investing big into technology, and your share of their wallet is high. That means you need to retain them. I'm sorry, the figure is wrong. Retain should be at the bottom, develop acquire should at the top. So if the size of the wallet of customer is good, you are well entrenched, you are selling well, then you can't lose your sight on that customer. And that comes into retain category. If you see on the left-hand side, for retaining customer, you need to be in touch with the customer, as I said, quarterly business reviews or any other way, because customer needs are changing. It may be tech refresh cycle that is happening. Competition must be reaching out. And in previous days of mine, there were situations where we sold our products as products. And we thought that automatically customer will come to us when technology refresh happens. But whereas we never realized that competition went and trying to convert that customer into a managed services customer with zero capex. And by the time we woke up, customer was half sold to that concept along with the competitive vendor. So it's very important to be able to retain the customer. You need to be very clear, especially with high size of wallet and size of wallet as to what you need to do. But then, of course, if you have high customers, you don't have uh, a low share of wallet, then you need to decide whether you want to retain or you want to acquire them. Acquisition is expensive. It takes a lot of time, effort, resource, and also in terms of the margin of the deal, it is going to be not as profitable as you will upsell to the existing customer in a developed mode. And hence, you may have to pick which customers you acquire, why, and what is the get well plan. And I know some of our partners have been aggressive, even in MySQL of late, at low margin closing the deals because they saw for future it is a great potential upside, or that MySQL business is now seen as a growth engine. And developer door customers, you have mid to high size of wallet, you have inroads foot in the door, but still your share of wallet is either low or medium. So then you say, okay, I got foot in the door, I have relationships, how do I go about develop that account? And as I said, you may like to look at it uh, as one account manager carrying two three types, or define a separate acquisition team. Um, but I feel it has been a concept which has worked well in the organization, and in deciding size of wallet. Sorry. We have used number of employees in the team, the IT budgets where is available. So some some well-defined criteria within your organization you may like to use. And then, of course, this is another favorite topic of mine, that every B2B customer is to be seen as B2B2C. That means, especially mid to large size deals and technology impacting businesses, business owners carrying the budget, the CXOs and chief technology officers or chief transformation officers are the business decision makers. But their perspective of investment in technology is different than CFO versus chief security officer, database officer, or CIO or IT head. And hence, if we use the four criteria we talked about earlier, which is showing growth and financials, customer experience, employee satisfaction, and operational efficiency, you may like to apply those four, how it is relevant to each one of these stakeholders, and have some kind of story around how does it impact each one of them and what you talk to them, and just be different. Of course, this is complex, right? It is not easy. It is not overnight process, but it is a way of selling that if you could develop and evolve, because large deals are long sales cycles. Situations are evolving in customer organizations. It's not easy to get inside information, so you need a champion of the customer organization for you, and even the stakeholders' role are confusing. So it's not as straightforward as it looks on the slide. I'll skip this because I think I may be short of time, but I think what I'm trying to say here is you may like to understand the sweet spot of the solution or the problem you are trying to solve how well you are positioned. In this case, we are saying what to check when you are selling MySQL offer, and what could be different scenarios where we see sweet spot for different kind of customers. So current customer of MySQL, you may just go and sell HeatWave on top of MySQL 8.0, or you could have community user where some loads continue in community, some migrate to cloud, and on top of that, HeatWave together. But if it is a born in the cloud company, everything can go day one from in the cloud, whether it is MySQL database or HeatWave. And then which competitive takeout you could do where it doesn't make sense, and so on and so forth. So I think understanding sweet spots are also important while you're building a opportunity or qualifying an opportunity. I think even though one may believe that in large to mid-size organization, personal selling is the way to achieve success, I think even the sales teams need a top five. That means that organization as a whole, and this goes not only to channel partners but to vendors also. And those of you who have worked with us have seen how aggressively we have been using the social media and working with our partners building a website for MySQL. But in a digital world, the presence of the channel partners depicting good value on the website, what you offer, using social media to create mind share and making sure that social media call to action is to take them to their websites, running campaigns and push communication, be it EDM for demand generation, be it keeping your customer informed of your successes, is very important. And then, of course, unless you analyze it, there are ways to analyze it now in technology and the digital world, you can do it. And what all will make it successful is the quality content and managing it, the content. So whether it is about your services offering, your vendors value proposition, or your success stories, I think content marketing plays a very, very important role. And also when you do digital marketing, it is possible to profile or target the profile of the customer where you want to attack, which is search engine optimization and other factors. I believe this is an important area where a lot of times our channel partners are not as active or proactive, which is important. And I read regularly McKinsey Insights, and one of the statements I read is that 70% of the decision in the minds of the decision maker is made before they even call a particular vendor or a channel partner. And they're saying that omni-channel is the path to drive growth. The more channels and sales organization deploys, the bigger the market share. That means it is not about personal selling only, it is about offline and online. So you create the overall mind share, preference, awareness in the mind of your customers or prospective buyers. And then when salesperson goes, it can make the job of a personal selling team more effective and efficient. Right. And apart from the fact that it will help you generate leads. Going into a little more details, I think a lot of these things you all know, but I will just re-emphasize on the top two, which is account-based marketing. So especially with the larger customer, remember we said high size of wallet, whether it is an account where you have high share of wallet or an account you want to acquire, the concepts of account-based marketing could play a very critical role. And maybe for top 10 customers, you build an account-based marketing plan that can serve you well. And for existing customers, I believe quarterly business reviews. It is essential for managed services customers to do it. But even if it is not a managed services customer, I think a quarterly business engagement with the key decision makers and influencers of all kinds is very, very important. Even if it is just executive meeting to get the feedback, what's working, what's not working, some structured approach is very, very relevant. And the way we have been doing it is every, in my previous businesses, every month we assign one to an account manager or one to a senior executive. They do it, they're different senior executive, they take ownership and drive it. Of course, as I always say, ROI becomes very important in anything you do. So to be able to track ROI is equally important role. Now, no strategy or no transformation, whether it is sales transformation or initiative, can be successful, especially not complex like this, unless you have operations backing it up, the strategy. So if your lead qualification process is not good, then your sales and teams may be working on more opportunities towards which wherein there is no sweet spot, there is no opportunity to sell, or they may go into the direction of selling managed services or high-end services approach wherein customer is not ready for it. And if opportunities are not tracked, then you may lose some opportunities for sure. And in the pursuit in sport mode, unless the account pursuit is well crafted and done efficiently, your offer will not be in line with customer expectations. So pursuit in quote again plays a very important role. And of course, bigger the contract, more complex the contract, the validation of value, the validation of contract specificity, terms, etc., needs to be looked at. And all these probably needs a very well documented and communicated approach for your sales. Now, we don't want to be, you know, counterproductive also by making it too complex. Depending on the size of the business, your approach to the business. A lot of the bigger partners, I'm sure, are already doing this. Uh, as I've always said, in execution phase, managing transition is very critical. So um, the lead times or first time right, promise versus delivery. I think promise versus delivery is very, very critical in transition because when we sell, we promise many things as the business gains. But by the time the transition is done and the customer is in the future mode of operation, to what percentage the customers start realizing delivery, and to what extent we are communicating to the customer that delivery, we are delivering the benefits we promised, which of course initially should happen with quarterly business reviews. It plays a very important role in making that happen. Then, of course, in all of us do our best in getting collections, cash, etc. But O&M plays important role because a lot of the big solutions, if operations and management and support is not done efficiently and effectively, then you lose all the confidence, and a well-paying, fully trusting customer can become a non-customer. This is another slide which is very important because ultimately, how do you create the pricing model so that on the right-hand side, what I showed earlier actually gets delivered? So you have system solution services, uh, and you talk of system needs, vendor functionality. In our case, MySQL HeatWave in my current role, uh, then you translate that into solution is creating value influence, right? Solving business problems, solving basic needs, all that happens. But then when you go towards services, not only the value, but the cost structure plays very, important role. So your delivery teams would know how you can optimize the cost structure and so on and so forth. And then, of course, the more you are driven by system solution and services, the competitive influence will play a role. And the more you are driven on solutions and services based on your own value, also not only vendors' value, you will compete better with competing vendors as well as competing channel partners for the same solution. And I think many of you know how you have your P&L sheets, especially when it comes to services contracts or solution sale, wherein all mid to size contracts are to go through this, the finance and the risk team, so that every time you go to close a deal, you're articulating the value from a sales and business perspective, but minimizing risk and overcommitment and making sure you deliver what you sell. So I think some process approach on this will also play an important role. So I think we have hardly 10 minutes left. So I wanted to leave the 10 minutes for anyone if you have any questions. So to sum it up, what I'm saying is that multiple technology innovations are maturing simultaneously, and I think a lot of you know about it, in new. But the key is technology investments are decided in the boardroom, not in the IT department. And technology budgets are not only very big now, but the business groups are controlling a lot of these technology investments. And hence, we need to not only work with one business group, we need to see where we can work and how we can bring them together. So, as channel, if you can see how you can bring them together, make it a unified approach, and I think chances of success are more. And not only customers, but technology vendors also need our channel partners to be able to take lead because you are the voice of the vendors. You are the one who are best positioned to convert the technology benefits into business value and impact. And hence, channel partners have a great opportunity. And if you adopt the new way of selling by building the right offers, targeting the right customer with the right offer, always there will be a challenge on how fast you can expand your people team. So coverage model plays a very important role. Marketing not only plays a role in terms of building a brand, creating an awareness for your offer and value proposition so that when sales go to the customer account, there is some kind of mind share already. Or you are doing deep sales or deep marketing activities through account-based marketing and QBRs. And last but not the least, operations have to be efficient in supporting all these, otherwise it can frustrate a lot of the other organizational teams and elements, and you won't get the best unless you have the skilling and lead to management and P&L management done effectively. Now, as I said in the beginning, these are a lot of intense topics, and we have just touched upon the thoughts and ideas which many of you may already be doing things. There may be some new aspects with you. So it'll be interesting to know through the survey if, and questions are in that direction, if you think interesting enough to discuss it more with your internal teams, if you find this relevant, and if you would like to discuss with us these topics a little more, you have my email ID and phone. Happy to discuss more with any one of you, any piece of this whole approach. Celine, this is all from my side. What is your advice on the next 5-10 minutes? There is a survey or anything else?
Yes, so can you take some questions from the attenders?
Sorry, Celine, your voice is breaking.
No, no, no. I mean the questions from the attendees, if they have.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything in Q&A, anything you want to ask through Q&A or even ask now. Happy to see if I can answer those.
Yeah, and if you have any question, you can click the raise hand button, then I'll unmute you. So we will have verbal questions with Shakar. Or you can leave a question in the Q&A box.
Yeah, if you leave in Q&A, then I can read and answer them.
I think partners may need more time to raise some questions to you. Okay. Okay. Thank you for attending. And before you leave, and we will we have set up the poll questions. So please answer the questions before you leave. Thank you, Shakar, and thanks for the training session, and thanks for taking your time.
Team, I'll really appreciate if you can fill up these course questions. They're very quick. Feedback will help us. Celine, can I stop sharing or I
Uh,
should leave it?
I just start the poll question, so you can.
Okay.
Yeah.